Today is Tuesday, March 25th, 2025, at 6:30 PM in the Town Hall. This is an open meeting and meeting for public hearings. This is the Board of Appeals. I'd like to ask for a motion to open the public meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we open the meeting.
Okay. And second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. First order of business this evening is just to approve the minutes from January 7th. I think you two were here and have had a chance to read them.
Yep. I make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes from January 7th as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Do we have any other meeting mail that came in since?
Yes, there is. There was, we have the Thomas Whitehead
Yep.
resignation. We also have, there's something from the Commonwealth about the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. They sent a copy to the ZBA.
Okay.
However, it would be the town administrator who responds to these. They're looking for returning in a listing with applicable corrections or additions
Okay.
by March 1st. This is from January, so they're dealing with that.
Okay.
And then we just got something from the Commonwealth about a notice of filing, a request for comments for N-Star Electric Company. Again, that's something that they're taking care of
Okay.
on their end with the town administrator. And near the end of the meeting, I've got a couple invoices for you to sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, that moves us right on to our appointments. And our first appointment in case is case number 2025.03.25A, the case of Benedict Properties LLC, 36 County Street, who's petitioning the board for 3 variances to convert a single lot into 3 individual lots for construction of single-family homes on lots A and lot C, and an existing home on lots B. All 3 lots before the ZBA require the same zoning relief for frontage, lot size, and buildable upland. I'd like to open the public hearing for this case, case number 20250325A.
We need a motion for that.
We do.
I make a motion that we open the case as read.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Do we have somebody from Benedict Properties who'd like to start?
We do, Mayor.
Please, yes.
I'd like to introduce myself. My name is John Paul Thomas. I'm an attorney in Taunton. I represent the petitioner of Benedict Properties. If I could give a little background on this property. This is the property in question. Actually, before I start with that, in the application, it was strongly recommended to write up a synopsis to present to the board. If I could give the board members my synopsis.
Oh, please, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you.
Coming up. I was waiting for you.
Yeah, that's okay.
My apologies.
No, just don't apologize. I just... Got one for everybody. So what we're asking for on this property, as you can tell from the property, that it encompasses, this property makes up half of the street, this residential street block. The proposed lots A, B, and C will be in harmony with all of the other lots that are in the neighborhood. There's nothing that is detrimental. It borders 3 streets, which means it has plenty of public access. It's serviced by town water and private sewer. The relief that we'd be looking for is the frontage on all the properties, the upland and the total square footage, and the lot width and depth. But these properties, these proposed lots, would be in harmony with each of the neighboring abutting properties. So as you can tell, that this spans over 4 lots. these proposed lots.
I get all that, but lots have increased to 60,000 square foot in town. I don't know where, we got a couple of these tonight, so
Got
I'm
it.
gonna just start off by saying, we don't have the power to reduce that lot size down to 10,000, never mind 9,000. It's 60,000 square foot lot for anything that you wanna subdivide or develop. I realize that there's something going around now where Maura Healy's saying that pre-existing conforming lots can go back to that they were conforming lots before, but I don't see any evidence here that these were conforming lots at 30,000 or at anything else in any time or history, so I'm kind of wondering why we're here.
Yeah, so the zoning board does have the authority, I mean, I read through the bylaws for Acushnet, please excuse me.
This is a subdivision, correct?
Well, it's, yes, correct, it's a subdivision,
And the minimum subdividable lot in town is 60,000 square feet.
which is why we're in front of the zoning board asking for a variance. We met with the planning board, we met with the building commissioner, and everybody, and the Board of Health, and everybody pointed us in the direction of the zoning board, which is the authority board that allows this, right? So, which is why we're here today. And you're right, there is no pre-existing lots. We're looking to subdivide this, but it would be in conformity with all the other lots in the neighborhood, in this particular neighborhood.
I don't disagree, but the reason for lot size isn't to make communities conforming. It's to reduce the amount of building, to reduce the amount of development going on. When the town said they wanted 60,000 square foot lots, it was to curb development. It's not our job to circumvent the bylaws.
I totally understand that. I'm not asking you to circumvent the bylaw, but what we're asking is, well, we're trying, right? So, this is the petition. I mean, you gotta respect the honesty, right? So, it just worked for the neighborhood. Otherwise, we're left with an oversized lot. And that's really what happens here. So the strict enforcement of this variant, of the zoning bylaws for this town and this area gives us an oversized lot on this, which is underutilized. That's really why we're here. Is this something that the board isn't prepared to move forward with?
I'm prepared to move forward. I don't think it's the way that anybody wants to hear it. It's,
Can I ask you a
again,
quick
it's
question?
60,000 square foot. If you had 115,000 square foot and you wanted 255s, you know, the board can say, oh, well, you know, that's close and it fits and whatnot, but the town passed bylaws that they wanted only 60,000 square foot lots. This already is a non-conforming lot. The bylaws also strictly say that you can't make a non-conforming lot more non-conforming, which is what we'd be doing.
So, I don't know when the town passed the zoning bylaws for the 60 square feet.
20-something years ago, if I had to
Okay,
guess.
so,
And before that, it was 3/4 of an acre.
Correct.
but the town zoning board, whether it's been these members or not, has passed other smaller lots. And that's, I guess, why we're here. This lot that was passed in 2004, and that's 8,000 square feet.
Yeah.
That was 21 years ago, I'm not sure
Yeah, the only
why
thing
that
that
was done, but.
this board, you know, I look at things like within 20% being, you know, something we can discuss. You're 50% off before we stop, and you want to be, you know, you want a lot under 10,000, which is totally with, you know, no jurisdiction allows under 10,000, or no area of town. And even if we were to do 10,000 square foot lots, you need to have sewer. I don't believe there's any sewer down there.
There's no public sewer, this is all private, but there is public water. So which is why we're in front of the zoning board. So, I understand and I hear you. But with these lots, they're not so abnormal that they don't fit in.
Understood. Well, my point is, if the town wants these, if they want these to conform and fill these lots, they need to change the bylaws in order to allow it. Because it's just so far out of the bylaw that it's not within our realm really to allow it.
Okay. So
I think they should say that in they could clearly write in the bylaw, unless it looks good in the neighborhood, and then we could discuss it, but they don't. They say it's 60,000.
But I think that's what's part of the state statute for zoning, so I'm, like, we're here because this board does have it's the granting authority, you do have the ability to give this approval, but part of asking for a variance is if whether or not it looks good in the neighborhood, right? It's not detrimental to the neighborhood,
Okay.
it's not gonna be usurious really in the neighborhood, so it does fit according to that. I'm sorry,
Do you want to say anything else before I ask the rest of the public if they have any?
I mean, I think we've made,
I just had one question, Chair, if I may. No, I was just curious, how long has the owners been at this property? And why all of a sudden are we trying to make it 3 lots when it was 1? Is there a reason, or is it just to sell them off after? Or?
well, I don't know that so he
Okay.
hasn't owned it that long, this company hasn't, the petition hasn't owned it that long. I don't know if it's to sell it off, that was really never the conversation.
That's all.
Yeah, so,
Okay, I'm going to ask if there's any other public input.
Yes, do we approach or can we talk from here?
You can, if you want input, you just got to come to the podium, please. State your name and address.
Me and my wife allowed to come together, one at a time.
You can come up together, it's fine.
Hey, Randy, it's Bennett Properties LLC.
They're the ones
It's
that-
not
Yeah,
owned by-
no, right, I just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, for the record, my name is Ronald LeCuyer. This is my wife, Lauren Massey, fiance. We are
What was the last name?
LeCuyer, LECUYER, and Massey, MASSE. All right, so we actually live abutting the property. We are on their property line, road neighbors.
which one?
We are 49 Lawson Avenue.
I don't know which one that is.
So, do you mind if I approach?
Yeah,
the
no,
show?
go ahead.
So let's see where we are here.
This one?
Yep, this is us right here. Now, I did want to comment on where he said the harmony with the neighborhood. This area right here, especially this area, extremely small. We took pictures with our phones, just if you even want, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the area. The street here is only barely 1 car fits by and it's a dirt road.
I can see that right on the plan.
All right, so you see it, exactly. So our main first priority was we have a retaining wall, which was built when the house was built in the early 1900s. The wall is original to the home. It holds up our property. It's as high as the window, plus that's where our property starts. That wall itself, which we tried to pull records and everything, because it's so old, there's no records that we could have pulled besides taking pictures to show. But it actually starts here, and it's this entire corner. Now, we were told that technically, because this is very small, this would be the only buildable section that they could build a house on. Is that what we're assuming is correct? Now, if they do any, depending on the type of grounds or the septic or anything, we're worried that
The water level.
we have a lot of water seepage in the area. So we're worried that a retaining wall with any disturbance of the ground will cause that retaining wall to fail. And if that happens, our house is sliding and our foundation is cracking and we're going into that yard ourselves. That was one of our first concerns. The other concern is the neighborhood itself.
Was the traffic flow of the neighborhood. I mean, we are a dead end, and then putting potentially 3 more families on that road
Right.
brings more traffic. Buzzards Bay has been doing, the cleanup for the
Yeah.
harbor, using us as an access point.
And now with
so-
N-Star as well, you guys know, the traffic is there's either very I would say senior residents in our neighborhood, as well as very young families. A lot of kids are in that, playing basketball on the road and riding their bikes. It's a small, quaint neighborhood. Adding another factor of building and traffic, and as you guys got to know the variance as well. I really appreciated what you guys said, because we second that with the area that they have. There's no way that they're really going to be able to build too much. They can't build here, and there is very small as it is. So our concern was
where is the protection of our retaining wall there, and also where is septic system going to go?
right, which I know is a later step, but we want to bring that up now because we want that to be considered. Building in that small side of a lot, of the size of a lot, that worries us a lot. as well as the harmony of the neighborhood. Our neighborhood is small, a lot of families. Adding more properties to the neighborhood, just jamming in housing, we feel like we're losing what, Acushnet is. We're losing that small town feel. If we start approving multiple houses to be built on lots like that, what's next? We don't live in New Bedford. I grew up in New Bedford. She's from East Freetown. We love this town. I've been at home for many years now, and we just don't want to see it being overdeveloped just because of the new MBTA line, which,
Understood.
So thank you again for hearing us,
Thank you.
and I appreciate everything you guys do.
I have a question for
Yes,
you. The person that owns this property, they gonna live there?
one of them, yeah. That's his intention.
That's it, okay.
He's from the general South Coast community, born and raised in the New Bedford area. Now we're living in Dartmouth, but with his oversight, with his growing family, his intention is change the school system, is from what I understand. But yeah, that's one of the, and there's somebody who lives in the middle house, but if I could just address the neighbor's concerns, because I think it's probably appropriate. As far as the retaining wall is concerned, obviously we would take if the board were to consider any kind of subdivision, we would take extreme consideration in resupporting that retaining wall and whatever study or investigation that was required in order to, because then the truth of it is, whether this board approves it or not, any excavation, according to that argument, on this private land would cause whatever it is that they're concerned, whether they need a variance or not.
Understood.
As far as the harmony of the neighborhood, they said that you couldn't put houses on these requested lots, but these lots are actually bigger than the mirrored lots that are existing, and there's houses on them, right? So, I mean, I'm not just disagreeing with their argument, I'm just saying that there's a solution to this problem.
Is there any other public wants to weigh in on this case?
Can I approach?
Of course.
So my name is Drew Wethington, Wethington. I live at 41 County Street, which would be, I believe, across from Lot A, right here.
Yep.
So when it comes to matters of urban planning, it's a 60,000 square feet, if I recall correctly.
Correct.
That is in consideration, I believe, with how this town is meant to be designed. How much public safety can we handle? How much traffic can we handle? Various concerns on top of that. I have questions if we try to circumvent that, how that fits into the role of our town, as well as the neighborhood itself. So, as my neighbor described previously, there's a dirt road. It's a very large, steep incline. I am concerned about erosion. There already exists today to a pretty high degree. As the DPW has documented many times, they've worked on our road to make sure to grade, but it does wash out every time. And I am very concerned when it comes to erosion, the increase of impermeable surfaces when it comes to driveways. 2 more driveways, 2 houses, 2 septics. We're talking about water runoff to watershed. And then you'll also know we're a pretty small distance from the Acushnet River as well. And then you'll notice the Buzzards Bay Coalition has an abutting property with wetlands present in there. So it's a pretty water-rich area, so I do have concerns about that. Additionally, I would echo what my neighbor said when it comes relative to traffic. On that street itself, as of today, it's 3 houses, my neighbor's house, my house, as well as the existing household there. If you add 2 more houses, you're talking relatively a 60% increase, and that's not just to folks living there. That is increased traffic for mail, increased traffic for Amazon, snow plows, etc., which really does abut into the area. And then my final concern is relative to the erosion. Once again, is stormwater runoff. The neighborhood is designed how it is designed today, and we do have flooding as it already exists. So again, my concerns with the water as well when it comes to both erosion and stormwater and traffic are my primary concerns. Relative to the state regulations, I know a lot of folks are referring to, not an attorney, you're much more educated than that, my friend, but Lot A, I mean, I believe the Healy bill, or the Affordable Housing Act, is 10,000 square feet is the exception that they look for, and this doesn't even meet that standard, so it doesn't, at least Lot A doesn't. So I do have concerns about if we circumvent that standard, we're not even meeting the minimum standard that the state sets for Affordable Housing Act.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the,
Thank you.
Any other public input? I think I've heard enough if you guys have, if you're ready to close the public part of this.
Yeah.
I'd entertain a motion to
Well,
close the
yeah, okay.
public
I was gonna say
hearing.
written form.
We're still gonna
Yeah.
have to
All right,
debate on this, but
on the
we're
four.
gonna close the public hearing for this case. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to close the public hearing.
All in favor? So moved. All right, so, again, the way I see it, it's not asking for small variances, it's asking for very
Yeah.
large. We know the neighborhood, you can see it clearly on the map that it's just a
Right.
tiny, tiny strip of road there, not developed.
No, it's not a substandard road.
Yep.
If I could
Already.
just, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if I could make a proposal, if we were to retract this and revise it to divide this into 2 lots rather than into 3, would that be more attractive to the board? Because I think that would open up a lot of, and eliminate and alleviate some of these concerns. Some of these concerns may not ever be alleviated, but before you made a vote, I would.
I won't speak for the whole board, and I'll entertain that as well. I'm just looking at it. I think basically the only way to do that would be to leave Lot A and B, because where the line is in the setbacks, and then have Lot C. And again, Lot C is
We would be
the only
open to-
frontage there would be over in this area. It's kind of I think it's still an odd-shaped, small lot.
I mean, I don't disagree, but there are other odd-shaped small lots. But
Yeah.
that would be the alternative. We could keep this as lot and keep this one as a lot. That would be the best we could do without encroaching more onto the house.
In my opinion, there's not 2 lots there, so I don't want to tell him to go back and spend more money and then come back before us, knowing that I don't really favor this, but I'm more than willing to listen to the rest of
Yeah,
this.
it's just a huge stretch right now with the square footage, it really is, and it's small, and I know things that were done 60, 70 years ago that were built, it's different now, you know, they changed it to 30,000 square feet. I wanna say 25 years ago, they moved it to 45,000, and a couple years after that, things were going so fast, they moved it right to 60,000.
Well-
And now you gotta, you know, you're trying to get 3 lots, and even 2 out of 30,000, that's a lot to ask on a small, little neighborhood where there could be issues.
Yeah, and-
So
and
I don't wanna tell you what to do either. You could do what you want, if you,
I will tell you, I always, and this goes for everybody, I always allow you to withdraw without prejudice. That way there, you don't have to wait the 3 years and come back with a new plan. I just want to warn that me saying that isn't suggesting you come back with a new plan, because I don't see it. I don't see it going through with a new plan either, but I have no problems with you withdrawing.
and if I could comment one more, if the house wasn't in the middle, you might even have a better argument. But it's right in the middle. It's like, so now you gotta pick and choose what side are you gonna go to make your second lot. It's like, it's just not working, as far as I'm concerned. If that house was all the way to the left, and then, I don't know if you wanted to try, I don't know, even that, I don't wanna say, it's still small. It is still a small area. But you have every right to do that, like like the chairman's saying.
Thank you. Do we want to come back with the revised plan? I would ask that if this board would allow me to come back with the revised plan.
I'm not comfortable continuing this.
Okay.
I will allow you to withdraw so you can resubmit
Okay, are we,
at your request, otherwise we'll vote on it.
no, I'm gonna ask that we withdraw this petition and we will resubmit.
Are you, I'm only, I think you said you were an attorney, right?
I am, yes.
So you have the authority of Benedict Properties, because they're the applicant.
I do.
I need them to withdraw, and you are doing that on
I'm
their
doing
behalf?
that on their behalf.
Okay. We have the applicant asking for permission to withdraw. Is there a motion to allow?
I make a motion to allow.
I said,
Withdraw.
And a second?
yeah.
All in favor?
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you for your time tonight.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
If you could.
Okay. We're going to give them a minute just to group on that before we open the next.
Is that Cindy? What is that? Is that done?
She
It's 10,000.
It's not, it doesn't say the fill house square footage, what it does is say, you know how many changed from 30 to 60?
Yeah, so if you had a,
So if you have 30s, that's stay buildable now, you can go back.
so like if he had existing lot,
Correct.
he would have had more.
Correct.
No, he didn't have.
It's one lot.
Right.
The 900
If 10 years ago, before zoning changes, there was 3 lots there, and the town combined them,
Right,
we have to uncombine them, providing that they're more than 10,000 square foot at least.
yeah.
This wasn't the case.
Yeah, he had nothing.
Okay. Okay, our next case, case 2025-0325B, the case of Buzzards Bay Coalition of 91 South Main Street, who's petitioning the board for a variance from the Acushnet zoning bylaws, section 332E1, minimum lot area to create 2 buildable lots. The applicant has engaged an engineering firm to prepare an A&R to subdivide the 15,900 square foot parcel of land into 2 buildable lots. The applicant seeks to divide the property to create a house lot and a garage lot with the A&R plan. The applicant states the house lot will be sold and the garage lot will be retained by the applicant to service the abutting 17-acre conservation parcel they purchased. First, I need to open a public hearing for this case. Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Do we have a representative from Buzzards Bay Coalition? Chris,
Good evening, gentlemen.
how you doing?
Good.
It must be Chris Saunders.
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Chris Saunders, 700 Pleasant Street, on behalf of Buzzards Bay Coalition. What we're proposing tonight is a variance at 61 South Main Street. And I'll lead off, while we're proposing to create a buildable lot, we have no intention of building another structure on what we will call our newly proposed lot in the A&R plan.
Why do it?
So, my clients bought this property probably, I think, 9 months ago. And their intention, as you're well aware, is they're all about conservation. So, and through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'm gonna give you an 81X plan that was done. Mr. Chair, may I approach?
Yes, please.
So this 81X plan was actually drafted because this, and it's kind of interesting, the previous speaker, Lacaille, you can see the Lacailles once owned all of this land. And there were deeds throughout the years. They owned a ton of acreage in this area. And the property description of those old deeds were all old meets and bounds. And when I went through the meets and bounds, it really didn't add up, so we did an 81X. And as you can see, the larger parcel, it's, I gotta put my glasses on. It is described as Assessor's Map 25, Lot 34, estate of Janet C. Robichaud. That's a over 17-acre parcel of land. That was the real purpose for the coalition to buy this land, and it was done so to put a conservation restriction on it, to keep it open land, all right? And then if you see next to it, to the east, there's Assessor's Map 25, Lot 63 and 64. It says Janet Robichaud. That is also included in the conservation restriction. Now that conservation restriction has been signed by my client, submitted to the state. We're waiting for final approval from the Office of Environmental Affairs. But that conservation restriction will be recorded before June of this year. So we know that nothing will be built on all that conservation land. And in fact, if you look at the Assessor's Map 25, Lot 63 and 64, those were buildable lots. So if my client's intentions were to have buildable land, they could have excluded that from the conservation restriction. And if, Mr. Chairman, if I may again approach you. So the plan I just submitted to you was a 1961 plan that it was done by George and Yvonne Lakaya. And the property that we're concerned about today is lots A and B. Lots A and B were held in common ownership, so they were combined by the town. To the right of lot A and B, you can see there's Arthur and Beatrice George. They bought that lot, and that land still exists, that house still exists. What we're proposing is to have a lot identical in size as the Arthur and Beatrice George lot. But if you go down the proposed street, which back then didn't have a name, but it's now called Lakayers Lane, and you look at lot C and D, lot C and D on the 81X plan is Assessor's Map 25, lot 63 and 64. Now, if you look at the town bylaws on previously recorded lots, so these lots were laid out prior to subdivision control, and they are held in common ownership, so lots C and D would have merged. But according to 4.3 of the previously recorded lots on the town of Acushnet zoning bylaws, and I've run this through your inspector, your building commissioner, as long as you have 50 feet of frontage and 5,000 square feet of land, you're grandfathered in. So those two lots, C and D, were grandfathered lots that my clients chose not to exclude from the conservation restriction and have it as a buildable lot.
But
Lot B is...
This was never recorded, or
No, it
nor was the street developed.
No, it is recorded. It's in book 61, page 30 in the Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
But that is...
I don't, on the piece you submitted to us, it doesn't show any signatures or anything.
Well, back in 1961, they didn't, number one, they didn't have subdivision control, so we didn't have subdivision plans.
Okay.
But they didn't require signatures on plans. Back then, it was, if you get an engineer, he developed a plan, you recorded it. It was time-stamped at the registry in January 12th, 9:55 a.m. in 1962. It's on record. Now, on plans like that, there's a 60-day appeal period. We're well past the 60-day appeal period. But that proposed street is actually, it doesn't have to be built out as a we'll call it city street that has granite curbing, sidewalks and such. That way was laid out in the 60s. And in fact, if you go over there, even though it's a private way, there's still a town of Acushnet sign that says Lakayers Way, which I found pretty interesting because normally on private ways, you don't get the town to put a sign that the street exists. But in any event, lot C and D could have been developed as a buildable lot. My clients chose not to. That is included in the deed restriction. If they had their choice, they would have put Lot B in the deed restriction. But they can't because Lot B is attached to Lot A. And what we're doing here today is asking that Lot B be detached from Lot A. Now, Lot A has a single-family home on it. It's roughly 680 square feet of gross square footage, so it's a small lot. But on Lot B, we have a 550 square foot garage. What my clients are intending to do is keep the garage on, if this board would adopt our proposal to allow us to break away the garage from the house, use the garage to service the 17 acres of conservation land. The real intent of breaking this away, if you look on that 1961 plan, you'll see that to the very west of starting on Lot D, there is a brook. That brook goes through Lot D, it goes through Lot C, and it goes through Lot B. It's our intention to keep this property open and preserve that brook. I know it's unusual to say. I wouldn't even make it I wouldn't even oppose a condition that if you were to adopt this proposal, you make it a condition that we not build on Lot B for a period of 1 year from the date that it's timestamped. Because as you're well aware, in 1 year, the variance lapses. So we have no intention at all of building a structure on this. We intend to keep the existing structure. We just want to preserve this land, and we want to keep it open. And that being said, the newly created lot that we're proposing on Main Street is identical to the lot next door. Identical. And there's really nothing, no neighbors on our side of the street near us. You know, we have conservation land to the south, and we have, you know, I'll call it more industrial to the north. So there are no neighbors there. What we would like to do is just sell the house lot to someone. It's going to be a small house. We know it's more valuable with a backyard, but we would like to preserve that open land and preserve the brook. And with that, I'd answer any questions you have, but I respectfully request that you approve the variance.
I believe us subdividing that because of the garage actually makes it non-conforming because it's not allowed use. It's can be an accessory to that dwelling, but we don't allow the construction of a garage on a piece of property.
The garage actually has no use, other than to service open land. It's more of to store materials that would be used to service the land as well as to cut the grass. So I'd be more than happy to if that is an issue, have the building commissioner opine on that, but we're not, there is no, in the Acushnet town zoning bylaws, there's no prohibition about storing material on your land to service the land, and if it's not strictly prohibited, then it is therefore allowed. But we're not having a dwelling, nobody's living there. We're not having any commercial operation, we're not selling anything, we're not doing an industrial operation. So therefore, it is by default an allowed use to store material on site, granted not hazardous or toxic material that will service the raw land.
This Lachias Lane,
Yes.
private way, who owns that?
My clients own that. Well, that being said, my clients
That's the access
presently
to the
own that.
property. That's the access to the property. It's been there for years.
Yes.
I get it, but I'm looking at the house being, it looks like a foot from the property line.
Now, mind you, that's a 1961 plan.
Well, this is recently drawn by Fallon in 2024, showing the house and the lot lines
Yep.
and showing the house right along the lot, and the porch of the house, the entry of the house being in Lakias Lane.
So mind you, on paper, Lakaya Lane is built out as a 40-foot wide roadway. In reality, it's not built out 40 feet. And whoever would subsequently own Lot A, because it's a private way laid out on a plan, the derelict fee statute kicks in, that the abutter to the center line would own to the center line. So
Halfway through, that's my question
yeah,
in this, because
so presently my
it's gonna
clients
get split.
own all of Lakia's Lane, but if you were to approve this and they sold Lot A, whoever owned Lot A would own to the center line. Now, mind you, they would not be able to build to the center line because you can't stop people from passing and repassing over that way. But that way is not built out for traffic, as you will, on a regular Acushnet street.
See, the way I look at the plan, they got that right away. And it's drawn different on every one of these three plans. And on this plan is where I have an issue with it. If they sell that piece of land,
Is that the Fowler plan you're
yeah,
referring to?
if they sell that piece of land, they're selling a piece of land with 5,300 square feet. I understand, it's just like you say, just like the Arthur Beatrice property next to it, but that's an extremely small lot with the house right on the property line.
And I would say
I'd rather
it's
see a
small
revised
house.
plan that shows them giving more frontage and making this a real lot. If they want to keep the back lot, give up some of the front, you know.
Well, we only have 50 feet of frontage on South Main Street. We can't,
Well, it doesn't seem that way if they're going to be purchasing this whole piece.
well,
Is that not what we were told, that this estate of Robichaud is all going to be part of it?
may I approach?
Please. What I'm saying is, this is this little easeway, but isn't this going to be part of their property too?
No, this is our land right here. This is our land that we're talking about. What we're looking to do is cut this off right here and keep this open space.
Okay, so this is the open space?
No, this is our big 17-acre parcel. This is
That's what I'm talking about.
That used to be.
I want to see you cut a little piece of that out and make this a legit lot.
Well, number one, we can't do that because we don't own this lot.
If I'm looking at it correctly, this is this.
No,
This
that's
is this.
Oh,
That's why you're getting.
all right, that's where I'm
You're looking
confused.
at
I'm
that-
thinking this right away is this
No,
right
no.
away is this right away.
No.
We own that right away.
It's this one.
Yes.
Now I see it.
Yes.
It's this one. All we're looking to do is draw a
Now I
line
see
right
it.
here.
Yep.
Keep this open space. We do own that right away.
Yeah.
But we can't prevent this landowner from passing. and
Understood that.
repassing.
Okay, so I'm looking at this piece.
This is a good one to look at. right?
Yeah, I can see,
is
now
what
I can
you
see
were
it, that I can see
saying.
this Lakias
This
Way.
is 40
I thought it was
feet.
this one. So
This is 40 feet.
you don't
wide.
own this piece as well?
We do own that, but that's got a conservation. This whole thing here has the, well, all of this has the
So
conservation.
why can't we redraw this line like this?
Well, we can't because we can't draw the line in the roadway because the roadway,
If you own all of the abutting property, you can.
we would have to do a new subdivision plan. We would have to go, in order to extinguish, so that's a laid out, we'll call it a private way that people have the right to pass and repass. We can't just simply extinguish the way, but we know nobody else is gonna use the way other than us, because we own
All of it.
90% of it, other than whoever buys our proposed Lot A.
That's why I'm proposing that you make Lot A a little bigger than it is.
Well, we can't go into the roadway, but in reality, whoever owns Lot A can use.
Right.
They can use half of that roadway. They just can't prevent others from passing and repassing. The only ones that would have the ability to pass and repass is my client, and we have no intention of passing and repassing other than to our garage, which we only need, 20 feet, less than 20 feet to get to the garage.
Who owns the land on the other side of Lacaya's Lane?
We do.
So why can't they shift it over?
Because in order to
No,
move the road,
you said, okay.
we'd have to go, because now we got this predates subdivision control. I would love if we could just say, let's eliminate the road and take some of the road and add it.
That's kind of the only way I'm comfortable with it, if we do that, because that house is so close to that line.
Yeah, so you're worried about the setback, the side setback.
But in reality, the house is not gonna be close to what the proposed new property owner will own, because they'll own another 20 feet because of the derelict fee statute. They'll own to the center line of that private way. And we know that way is never gonna become an accepted street in Acushnet. And we're not gonna have two vehicles traveling at the same time. They may go out there 2 or 3 times a year just to service the land, and it's only gonna be one vehicle going. But that being said, we have the house is existing, the house is there. It's not like we're building the new house on South Main Street. That is there. It is adjacent to the private way that we intend to have remain there. So this has been going on for 50 years, the way it's laid out. We're just simply looking to cut the backyard off and keep it open space. That's it.
Do you want to listen to any of
I'll-
them? There's no others
I
here?
just, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, how big is the structure in the back? Is it a barn, is it old barn, or
It's a garage.
It's
It's
a garage.
550
The
square
garage is
feet.
bigger than the house.
Looks like
The
it's
garage-
25 by 25.
25 by
The garage is bigger than the house.
The garage is bigger than the house. I'm told. I didn't measure it.
No, I live up that way.
Oh, do you?
It scales out about 25 by 25. Do you have any more questions for Attorney Saunders before we bring in the rest of the public?
So like, they doing all this, it just, like, what are they doing? Gonna rent out the garage? That's what it seems like.
It's gonna sell the house.
Yeah, sell the house.
And then keep the garage to put tractors in to maintenance for the 17
acres.
acres.
The
Yeah.
Buzzards Bay Coalition.
They
But
can
at
easily
that
have,
point.
put
they
another
could
barn
sell-
back there.
At that point, they could just sell the garage off. There's nothing that says they're gonna keep it.
He did say that we can
Those
put the
conservation.
restriction on
Yeah.
it, but, which we can, we do have the right to put stipulations on it if we so choose to move forward.
I have no objection to any restriction you put on that, other than that would prevent us from accessing the land.
I'd like to talk to the rest of the public on this.
I just have one more question for Chris. What were you saying about the brook?
So,
Look, you can see here.
Now-
Yeah, that comes from the quarry, comes from behind my house, goes all the way to Alden Court.
So that's why they want to keep that parcel, because the brook runs through it.
the brook runs through it, we want to keep open land.
Yeah, going through B.
It's going up here, it comes right across Main Street.
Correct.
Okay.
So on this picture, it would be here.
So the brook goes from Lot D, Lot C, which are part of the conservation restriction, onto Lot B, which is not part of the conservation restriction, back onto our land, which is part of the conservation restriction.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that goes right up out to the river, because that's what they had to clean up because of the Keating.
General public, anybody want to chime in?
Mr. Chair?
Please state your name and address when you
Yep,
start.
members of the board, Ryan Resendes, 30 South Main Street. I guess first off, I would just say that this is a dangerous precedent to set, being in the business village. In order to subdivide a property, first of all, I think it's a non-conforming lot, and you're gonna make it more non-conforming. And in the business village, it has to be 10,000 square feet with sewer. There's no sewer. The ad on MLS says it has sewer, there's no way it has sewer. It'd be the only house on South Main Street after
Pembroke Avenue.
Pembroke Ave that has sewer. It doesn't have sewer. So to make that lot smaller, they sell that house, they do a Title V, there's no place to build a septic. There's no way it's even gonna fit there. My suggestion would be just to move the garage, leave the lot as it is, or make it smaller, and if they're gonna keep that for open space to the brook, but, I mean, I don't have sewer at my house, I got a 20,000 square foot lot. I'll be in here next month looking for a variance, you know, for 2 10,000 square foot lots. I just don't, I'm worried about the septic that's there, and I don't think that lot size, looking at the plans, there's no way a septic's gonna fit.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else want to comment on this particular hearing?
May I address that?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Bob Hinckley, 6 Brookside Drive, also Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. I will just revert to the first hearing. This is a pre-existing non-conforming lot. My view is this would make it more non-conforming. I appreciate everything that the coalition does for protecting our environment, but I do agree that this sets a bad precedent. I think it opens up a can of worms for anybody else in a position with similar lot sizes here. And I also wouldn't want to see a decision made until everything was locked in with a conservation restriction, period. With that being said, I'm not saying postpone it until then. I think if we follow suit of what just happened with the first hearing, it's very similar, different lot sizes, I understand, but it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. Our zoning bylaws are here for a reason. I think it's to protect the town. It's also to protect areas in this side of town that don't want to be overpopulated, and I just don't want to see this happen personally, just because of precedent it sets for other properties. It has nothing to do with the owner, has nothing to do with anybody that's lived there, simply the precedent that it could set. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to talk on this?
May I have a rebuttal?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I've never been inside this property. I'm told when my clients that it's serviced by town sewer, that we don't have the septic. We can't move the garage. In regards to the conservation restriction not being signed at this time, it's been signed by my clients. It's under review with the state. I would have no objection that this variance be subject to the 17-acre parcel being recorded at the registry as conservation land.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
once again, Bob Hinckley. There's no sewer there. The last spot of sewer on South Main Street is actually coming in through the back of the Century House property, and Mr. Goulart had a tie-in through the back of his property to pump over to Rock Street, where the pumping station is, where it then enters the city of New Bedford. The cutoff is at Century House, if you're looking at it, on the right side.
For
So
the
the north
record,
side.
I double-checked with the Board of Public Works as well on that, just because I know we have new things going on with these 10,000 square foot lots and stuff, and it does require sewer. And I'm told the same, that it definitely ends, there's no sewer there. There's probably not a septic either, it's just a hole in
Probably
the
a
ground
cesspit,
type of thing. but-
which is why it wouldn't be on
So-
record.
Which is not gonna pass the Title V.
Yeah, but, so,
Wouldn't pass Title I if that was.
I have that in the back of my mind
Correct.
to go over as well, so,
Thank you.
okay.
I make the motion that we close the hearing.
There's a motion to close the public hearing for this case, is there a second?
Alright.
So moved. Okay, I mean, we got a lot of good information on this. I'm a big advocate for open space, and I like to see that protected, but I do believe that it sounds like we're gonna need, if they do sell that house, it's gonna need a septic, and I don't know where it's gonna go other than behind that garage.
Or between the house and the
Or
garage.
between the house
But you
and the
got the
garage.
street, the paper
but
street there.
It's tight.
But, what you were saying before, it requires city sewer.
I said the same with the last case, and I agree with Mr. Hinckley that as much as I don't believe this is the same precedent, it's not somebody coming in and looking to
Build.
just add lots and
Right.
build.
And the
It's
other
a
thing-
slightly separate thing. It does allow for a 5,000 square foot lot, which I'm
Yeah, conservation protects rivers the way they are.
correct,
So
correct.
that's like, it's already protected,
Mhm.
so. I mean, it's kind of messy though.
I think we have enough information. It's up to you guys how we
Yeah.
move forward.
I say we move forward with a vote, and you wanna explain to them why they got 14.
Yes,
Not
so I do want to explain, and we didn't do it the first time because he withdrew, but with variances, because we're a four-man vote tonight, you need all four to be in favor. So I am going to allow anybody who comes before the board tonight to continue on if they want, knowing that you do need a full board, 4 out of 4 this evening.
Yeah.
So
We're missing our fifth
well,
tonight.
yeah, we've had a recent resignation, we had a man down. So anybody who wanted to continue, I'd be happy to continue this, again, open hearing with public again and move forward. So I want you to,
I would
decide on it.
respectfully request to continue, and then if that is granted, I do have another one at the end of the agenda, I would be making the same request.
Okay. You want to ask for a continuance on that now?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Because of the lack of a fifth member, I think we owe it to them to give them a fair shake
Yeah.
and allow them to continue to the next meeting at their request.
Yeah,
So he's requested we make the motion to do so. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to continue it to the next meeting.
I second it.
And second, all in favor?
I,
So moved. So,
Thank you.
I do, this one,
So do you want to
this
do
one
the
we're in.
last one right now and the same thing, so he's good to go?
He's good to go, so I just want to give the date, because we're supposed to, when we
No,
continue,
but
it's
he
for
wants
a
to-
date certain.
He's representing the fourth case too, right?
And he's requesting for both, so we
Yes.
are
Oh,
going to
okay, all right.
allow that.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest we do April 22nd. It's a Tuesday. To allow for the ad going in the paper for 2 weeks, which would go in on,
Do we have new cases
yeah, we have 3 cases for April already.
for April already?
Yeah.
Does the 15th give us enough time?
The 22nd would be the date that I would say.
Okay.
April 22nd.
That should give us enough
And that'd
time
be
to...
at 6:30?
Yes, to add to
Sorry,
do the
6:30?
agenda.
6:30, April 15th. I'm sorry, 22nd.
22nd, April
My apologies,
22nd.
I'm looking at my phone. So, I'm going to do them separately.
Yep.
So, on the case of 2.250325B, there's a continuance asked for, and we're going to continue that until the 22nd of April.
I'll make a motion
All
on
in
that.
favor?
I second it.
And we're going to skip over this case, the next case just briefly. Case 20250325D will have no public hearing this evening as the petitioner is asking for a continuance in that one as well.
For a fifth member, yes.
Okay? I'll just ask for one more motion. And the number 10, case 20250325D, case of Norman Shirtleaf of 79 Middle Road. Is there a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion.
And a second? So
In
moved.
favor.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have one more case for this evening. And I guess before we open up regular hearing, I will ask the petitioners, are they here, Mr. and Mrs. Knox, or representative? Mr. Davinian, you're representing this evening?
Yes, I am,
Are you
Mr. Chairman.
prepared to move forward with the four-member board?
I am.
Okay, thank you. So, case number 2025-0325C. Case of Frank and Karen L. Knox for property located at Mendel Road, who's petitioning the board for 2 variances from section 33C14, lines and 3 and 5 driveway construction standards for the proposed construction of a common driveway for 3 residential house lots. Assesses map 9, lots 24A and portions of 18H. The required driveway construction standards cannot be met due to the narrow retreat, lot shape, and significant topographical changes. Mr. Davinion's here to represent. I would like to get a motion to open the public hearing portion of this case.
I make a motion that we open the public hearing on.
I'll second it.
All in favor? So moved. Mr. Davinion, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. For the record, I'm Dave Davignon from Schneider Davignon Leone. I represent Frank and Karen Knox for this particular part, it's a group of properties that they own. I'll start off by saying we're not here to subdivide any lot. We're not here asking for any waivers or variances on lot sizes. Just to get that out of the way. We have an existing condition where we have 4 previously approved A&R lots. A plan was signed by the planning board. I think multiple plans were signed by the planning board for the division of multiple properties that were here before you. Properties were owned by, one parcel was owned by Russ Dubois and Mr. Knox. I'm gonna come over here with the plan just because it's easier. To the right of the plan, you kind of see the lotting layout that we have. 3 of the lots have frontage along Perry Hill Road, and 1 lot has frontage along Mendel Road. At one point in time, Russ Dubois owned this chunk of land, the north piece, as a part of land that he owned to the east, a very large tract of land. That was subdivided through an A&R process, creating 1 regular A&R lot and 2 retreat lots through the planning board, which signed a plan, creating those lots. The lot to the south actually was created earlier and purchased by Russ at some point when it went on the market. He had sold that to a different party, and he had then sold these 3 lots to Mr. Knox, and Mr. Knox then picked up this lot when it became available again. So in the end, the Knox family purchased all 4 lots as they existed. So how do we access the lots? That's really the pertinent issue that we're here before you. We are not here for an approval of a common driveway. Okay, I want to make that clear. We're not here to divide lots. We have to go to the planning board under a separate format for a special permit for the approval of the common driveway. The reason we're here this evening is we have designed a common driveway to service 3 of the lots, being the south lot, which is essentially a pork chop lot, retreat lot off of Mendel Road, and to also service the 2 additional A&R lots to the north of that lot. The 4th lot will have a single driveway coming off of Perry Hill Road. In doing the design, the challenge to the site is the topography. If you go out to Mendel Road and you would park out front, there's a little flat spot. There is a gravel driveway now. The prior owner, prior to the Knox purchasing it, intended to build on this parcel as their relatives, the mother lived and the parents lived adjacent next door. I won't get into why they didn't, but they decided not to build, and then they sold it to the Knox family. They did build the driveway. It's become overgrown over the years to get to the back, some down fallen trees and some growth, so you're not able to drive down there at this time. But at one point, I drove down there myself. So that driveway is actually shown on the plan, and we're just following that same driveway. We're widening it to a width of 16 feet, which is the requirement for a common driveway. So when you drive onto the site, there's a flat spot, and then the hill just rolls at a 10% grade. I mean, it doesn't stop until you get several hundred feet into it. It flattens out a little bit, then it runs again, and then it flattens out, and then it runs. And as you get to the part of the property where it opens up, topography again is at 10% slope. It's a real hilly site. So the common driveway would come off Mendel Road, run down the neck of that lot, and then do a dog leg when we get to the open part of the lot. When we get down to that part, it'd be a left-hand turn, it'll follow the stone wall and the property line on the ridge of the hill, and then make a right-hand turn and go down the hill and terminate pretty much where it gets to the third lot up here. There are two fire turnaround access points here and here. Stormwater will be handled, and we will be filing for a stormwater permit with the Conservation Commission as required. That'll be the next step prior to going to the planning board. But before we go there, in doing the design, we're here requesting a variance for two design standards that are in the zoning bylaws. I have to put this up, this is what's being too low. The zoning bylaws require, under the driveway standards, that we have a flat spot coming off of Mendel Road 50 feet. 2%, no more. That's pretty flat, it's 1/4 inch per foot more or less. So for 50 feet, we have to have a flat spot based on the bylaw. Then from there, we can go and we can have a 10%. Well, in doing that, if we go another 20, just another 25 feet from where we're proposing is a 25-foot leveling area. And then we'll just fall on the grade. We're not looking to raise the grade, change the drainage pattern. We're actually following all of these grades, follow the drainage of the topography that exists today. All the water will flow the way it flows today from the north and west to the south and east into a grass swale, and we're bringing it all the way down the hill like it goes now. And in order to do that, our challenge point is right here at the beginning. If you have a slope doing this and you have to do this, you got a problem. You're gonna come out of the hill and then you have to meet back in with the hill. So our challenge is we're asking for a variance for a 25-foot flat spot instead of 50. So that's variance number one. And the second variance is a centerline radius, which is more of a design, a road design. When you see a wavy road, a neighborhood road that has some sweeps to it, there's a minimum centerline design to it. Typically, it's 100 feet or more. The common driveway design criteria is 80 feet. Well, we're basically getting to the end here, and it's almost getting to a stop sign. You're going to take a left. This is that left-hand turn. We can't provide that 80 foot without really having a problem. An 80-foot centerline radius would carve us all the way into this lot. And then as we come back, we wouldn't be able to make the next turn. It's just not practical. So when you come back and look at this, if you were to follow my finger, an 80-foot radius would do this, and then we'd have to come all the way back here to do another 80-foot radius over here, and we're short. So we have, I believe it's 28 feet for a centerline radius here, and I think we have a 58-foot centerline radius here. So that's the crux of it. Those are the two variants that we're requesting.
On the map we have, I think we're missing a dog leg over here. Could you come up and just tell me if I'm correct in that this is gonna get a dog leg here now too?
Yes.
So even though you don't have that radius, if you needed to, you can back up and do things in there, in the new plan.
I'm glad you asked that question. We didn't originally on the plans have that. We sent the plans to the fire chief for his review. He asked for a second emergency turnaround. So we have one here that satisfies what he'd like, but he said, I'd like to see another one here at this point. So yes, part of the common driveway design will have basically another T turnout here.
You answered my next question, which was, I'm not in favor of common driveways without the fire department's approval, and it sounds like you have it.
I'll submit this letter for the record.
Thank you.
This is essentially the fire chief approving this revised plan dated February 10th, 2025. And the revisions were specifically to add the second emergency turnaround.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So the basis of our variance, we meet the criteria of the state law. It's topography and shape of lot. It's just not practical to meet those standards, and
It's not gonna see a lot of traffic. It's got these
Three
three houses. Yeah.
so minimal traffic. Once the common driveway is built out with the hammerheads, it will have fire protection, emergency safety protection.
In that 50 foot that you're supposed to have a certain incline and stuff, you're not gonna make it. Is it gonna be paved?
There will be a paved apron coming off
Alpha Mendel.
of Mendel. It's boldly squared, 16 wide by 20-foot long paved apron.
Okay, so 20 long. Now, my
Yeah.
question was, you said you were gonna be able to hold that grade for 25,
Yes.
so you're
So
paving
it'll be
most of that.
There'll be an additional 5 feet of gravel.
I think I might ask for 25 feet of paved. I think that would be,
Sure.
seems so that's the,
If you want to make
the
that a
amount that
condition
you
of
have
approval, yep, that's.
there, it sounds like it's gonna be a little steep or whatever, but
Right,
if it's
have
paved
that
and
paved, yep.
can clean that area, then that, even a big truck will be flat on pavement before they're pulling out into the street.
Yep.
Are you good to go on
Yes,
to public?
that's a presentation.
You might, they might have some questions for you, but.
Oh, yeah.
um,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we get some real,
Sounds like you'd like to be first. If you,
Yeah.
if you want to
Yeah,
comment, if
I'd
you
like
could
to
use
be
the podium,
first.
please. Name and
Okay.
address and,
141 Mendel Road. I'm the house right here.
okay?
This is it. This was Herman Wass's farm over here.
Could you just state your name for the public?
Robert
please?
Howell.
Thank you very much.
Herman Wass owned this 75 years ago when I was born. My father and his father owned all this. This is all my property, this whole length here, okay? Except for one little jog right here. And about 45 years ago, Herman sold it to Perry. Perry, I don't know if he passed away, but the family went decided they're going to subdivide the whole thing. So they had all these covenants with the town about the water and how it was going to be built. So part of the covenants was that all the driveways up here and here were supposed to be gravel because of the water being able to go through the ground and wouldn't have all that flow coming off the hills. This here, since I was born, was never a road. It was all woods. Up to about 2 years ago when he came in there, and he could because I guess he owned it, he had the right of way, which my grandfather had too. Took it all down. There's no road here. This was a big depression here, and he took his excavator, took out all the trees, laid in a road, up the grade. Remember, we got a little water problem here. Maybe you didn't notice the water problem. Did you look at the water problem? No. So, okay, so he made a road. He could do that because it wasn't subdivided, I was told. He wasn't gonna build anything. There wasn't any plans for a house or anything. And the reason this house wasn't built over here was because part of the covenant was this big drain coming down into this area here was to take all the water from these houses and take it down through the forest and put it into the wetlands. Okay? So he built this road, didn't care about everything going in the wetlands, fine. Okay, so now we got this road there. All right, we got 2 stone walls, one here, one here. This is my stone wall. Well, you know, the funny thing about it is the fire chief wanted a 50-foot cut-in. And now I'm told we're gonna put in 25 feet of asphalt. Well, the problem I have is the height of the road here and the height of the wall here is a big difference. If I stand about 50 feet here, the height of the road's about here, my wall's here. But where's the water gonna go? I already got a problem with all the water coming off the Fire Tower Lane that was asphalted, and it comes down in such a flow that it goes across the street. Well, it used to go down here, but since they made this little rise right here, it all went through this wall here, and I get a river. Okay.
I don't want to stop any of your conversation, but the stormwater is a whole nother board
Yeah,
he's got to
okay.
get through next.
All right, let's go with the grades, okay? Okay, so, all right, now we're probably, I don't know, 2.5, 3 feet higher than the stone wall. Between these stone walls right here is about 26 feet, okay? Which leaves you, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet on each side. Now you're gonna build this up so you're 3 feet above my wall,
Where's the fill gonna go?
That's not what we're doing. We're not,
What are you doing? You're making a road, you're making a driveway.
we're going to follow the grade that's there now.
The
That's why.
grade just there now, no, you're not, no. The fire chief says you want to come in here and be flat. If I go in 25 feet, even right here,
The fire chief,
by being flat,
The fire-
I'm still above, it's way above the wall.
the fire chief hasn't requested anything. I'm not.
But you made the comment that nothing changes. Nothing with the water, nothing with the grade. Well, how come the wall is 2.5 feet lower than what you want to do, and now you want to asphalt it too? Now, you tell me what, and now you're going to cause the grade, you're going to change the grade here, because you're going to go down off that grade, and the wall is still going to be below that grade. So are you going to put in a 50 to 75 foot retention wall?
No, we have a grass.
No.
Well, Mr. Chairman, he's hostile. I'm not going to answer his
Well,
question.
why wouldn't I be hostile? You're making a comment that you haven't changed anything. Well, you've changed the whole grade. You're changing everything involved. My property over here, their property over there. You're high, this high above the wall. Okay, so I'm standing in your driveway, and the street's up there, and my wall's down here.
So, again, I just want to point out that he has to get that approved through the planning board and has to get the stormwater approved through that committee. What he's asking us is to build it up less.
Correct.
He's here to say, I don't want to build this way up.
Right.
I want it less.
I want it the way, somewhat the way it is, because they've already upped the grade already.
That's what he's here asking
But the
us.
fire chief has already said he wants to see 50 feet.
That's not correct.
Okay, he wants to see 25 feet.
We're requesting it be reduced to 25 feet. The fire chief has looked at this plan and approved this plan. That's the extent of the fire chief's involvement.
Okay, so now we've got a problem with the way you're designing the entrance of the driveway when it comes to my property and the
I'm
water.
not sure what you mean.
Well, if you're gonna do this, okay, you're gonna have to fill in the sides too, right? So if you're coming off the street flat at 2% grade, my wall's down here. Okay, now you're gonna have to fill in the grade. Where's all the material gonna go? And if the truck catches a wheel, where's the truck gonna go? So you see, it's kind of a dangerous thing without the retention wall. You're gonna have to put one in. Maybe not, I'll have to deal with the other people. So I don't know what you guys are supposed to do. Are you supposed to okay this?
We're not allowing anything, we're just considering possibly sending him to the next step with letting them decide whether or not they want it based on, we're not upset about a lesser bump, which is what you're asking for. That's what I'm hearing from you. You don't want them to build it up. And the whole issue with this, and the only reason they come here first, is because the variance falls under topography, which is something we're allowed to adjust for. So
No,
what he's
I'm
here
talking about
for is what
topography.
you're asking is for less buildup.
Well, there's definitely less buildup. My wall's way below the road.
So I hear your concerns.
Oh, no, good. And plus, I go the whole length of this driveway. And I have issues with the way they're designing the
Your lot
drainage.
25A, B,
This here.
and,
I'm all here.
yeah,
This
all,
is all in.
yep, I see it.
Okay? And they've got some dams going and other things. I guess that's water problems, it's not you. But you are supposed to be talking about the size of the driveway and this problem over here. So I don't know what you're making decisions for.
All we're here to discuss is that grade decrease right at the beginning and them two corners.
Okay, well, I guess we hit the point, right? You realize that my property is very, go up there and take a
I'm not
look, you'll
against
see
what
it.
you're saying, I'm telling you, this board doesn't have any control over it. The planning board will, and you can certainly go there and tell them, I don't like the design of this, I don't like this, that, the other, but it's the planning board that will ultimately decide whether or not
Well, do
this
you
whole
like
thing
the
works.
design of it?
The planning board knows a lot more about the contours and the this and that. We're just here to discuss whether we think going like this or going like this is a problem, whether you're going around a corner. Again,
Well, is
my
that a
issue,
problem, sir?
I can drive a truck. I tow truck and trailer all the time. So if I can't maneuver down this road, I have a problem with it, right? So same with the fire chief, and that's my issue, and that's why we got the letter. We have 2 turnouts, we have that stuff. So other than drainage and how it affects your property, this stuff he's asking for.
This isn't drainage, this is also elevations. This is topography.
Correct.
And
Which is,
if you
you're
take
worried
a
about
ride up
drainage,
there
you're
and
worried
you
about
look at,
water.
if you look at my yard,
Yep.
and you look at the height of that driveway,
Yep.
what they want to do when it comes to the fire chief, believe me, it's causing one heck of a major problem. So, you know, okay, so you're either gonna approve this or you're not.
We're not. That's the point. We're not approving this. We're only saying that it can move forward with the other departments.
Oh,
We're not
okay.
approving it.
So you'll get an abutter letter for that next meeting.
Planning
when
board.
when it goes on, and then that's the one you wanna be at and push your concerns.
And this one as well. I do want to hear any issues you have with that, with the slope of the thing. If you think that the people on this road, not your property, if you think that the people on this road are going to be affected by that crown or that turn, that's,
Well,
we're here listening.
my field's gonna be affected because like he mentioned, the road goes like this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, where that this area gets drained off into this area here,
He has to make that work.
that was a big dip. So if you bring that up, it's all gonna put all the water onto a little jog that my neighbor has in between me and my fields. So you see, there's a lot of problems here when it comes to elevations. Especially up here.
If you look at the elevations.
That's a real problem.
This is gonna go through
Here's one
Conservation
right
Commission
here.
and Planning Board.
Right.
So you're gonna
They're
have 2
showing
opportunities
114
to.
at like a 2 feet,
So
right there. This
we've
is the
got
one on
we've
one.
got a road builder here
This is
looking at it,
one
and he's saying it's going to be
right here.
built up 2 feet.
Well, go look at the thing, I'm already below the road.
I'm
that's-
just looking at the proposed elevations,
Yeah?
and they're on the plan, I don't know.
Oh, go take a look.
All right, it's just looking
Okay,
at
it's,
what's there.
no.
On that one.
You go in because,
But
no.
that's good.
Water will stop going through his land, but it'll go through the stone wall.
This is proposed,
True.
115.
I mean, there's a lot, I don't know what's going on here, this
They're
is
showing
crazy.
113,
Okay.
right there, it's showing 115 right here. That's-
Would anybody else like to speak on it?
I would, and my name is Linda Taylor, I live at 93 Mendel Road, I bought one of the properties. I'm not quite sure if this is the place for this question,
Okay.
but the question I had, if you could flip it over. Sure. So, all right, you know what, let me just show you this one. Oh, right. Okay. So the driveway is gonna abut my property, which is extremely close, as far as I'm concerned. My question was, is there any way the driveway could come down this way and go across, like down right here?
It's problematic because of there's a boulder field. You see this thing right here?
Mm-hmm.
There's a litany of boulders out there. We saw that it's problematic. Going through there. It made more sense to come along the ridge.
Mm. So, it's just because I'm concerned of like, so many cars like coming down this driveway, and I thought it would be a lot more, it would be private if it were to come out this way.
And then it would go right through two yards. I mean, this guy's front yard and this guy's backyard.
What guy's front yard?
This is
This
still,
house,
this is still on the Mendel Road piece, or?
No.
we're way in the back.
So I'm like,
The other side.
so if you did it like this, if you look at
This
this
is her
one,
lot, yeah.
so if it went like this,
So
and then like this.
Oh, we can't because of the wetlands. We can't go behind this house because of the
Why
wetland
is it
system.
sticking so close to the
We're limited from-
property line?
Oh, I see.
Right on
The
back
green
side.
represents
I get it.
areas,
Could it
keep
choose
it
that
outside of the
right
wetland.
down here?
And then when you get outside the wetland, we located, there's a big boulder
Yeah,
field
she's got it.
right in here.
Yes,
We literally would have to come, where this driveway is, we'd have to run it right through here and then go right through this guy's front yard. It just didn't make any sense.
Oh, this could be a different, this is 7.
And we did look
That's,
at it, you know, initially I thought that's how I would do it.
So
But once we surveyed all the parameters,
Yeah.
it became problematic.
It would be problematic, but not impossible.
I don't know,
Okay.
difficult.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
What I'm hearing from you is a privacy issue,
Correct.
because the road's right up against
Correct.
your lot. Okay. Okay, on this edge here. You see it now? Yep. So there is, you do have like a 15-foot buffer you have to provide there, isn't it, David? Or-
No, I think it's 8-foot max minimum, minimum separation from property line.
8 foot?
I think it's 8 feet. And we do need that.
Of course, it's retreat lot, so houses gotta be 75 feet.
That's correct.
And again, that,
This one is not an actual retreat lot, but this is, and the next one up is, this was actually an A&R plan that, an A&R lot that has 150 feet of frontage along Ferry Hill.
okay. Yep, I see it. You just, the common driveway is the only issue. Okay. Any other public comments? Questions?
Should I say something? I do want to say something, which I'm not sure if you realize, down that driveway, it is on my property, but there's something from the Historical Society. I don't know if it's a morgue or what they used to keep. Supposedly, there was a pastor that lived on the property and they used to store the dead bodies there
That's what I was
prior
told.
to burying them. So,
That's this barway, this
you still live there?
circular.
correct.
Yes.
Right.
And
No,
you
we-
still live there?
I know. And we bought it knowing this.
It actually is on.
It's drawn in there and you
It
don't
is on
affect
Miss
it.
Taylor's property.
So
It's
I
not
just
in there.
wanted to make
We're-
sure
We're not touching it.
that wouldn't be touched at all.
No.
So, because that borders the driveway.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You know, the door to that is at the Acushnet Cemetery.
Yes, that's right.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
Oh, really?
You can see it right there in the actuator.
Just a little tidbit of information, so old people know.
I think the public has spoke to you. Are you ready to close the public portion of this meeting? Do you have any more questions for anybody? Or? Okay, so I'd like to,
Make a motion that we
make a
close the
motion to
public
close the
hearing.
public-
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. So discussion amongst ourselves here to come up with a, so
I mean,
in my opinion, again, this has 2 more steps to go.
right.
So if we grant any kind of,
All we're doing
Relief.
is granting it to go to the next
I,
step, which can be stopped there.
yep, and I do think,
If the public feels.
I do think that the radiuses have been addressed, both through the planning and the fire chief asking for the other turnouts. I'm okay with that. I would like to ask that, again, because we're supposed to have 50 foot of almost no slope, and we're gonna say that the 25 is good and that the slope can be more for the rest, that we do ask for 25 feet of paved area. So even a dump truck, a good truck sitting there would be all tires on the pavement before they enter the road. It's kind of my only concern, and then let the planning and the stormwater handle the rest if you guys choose to let them move forward.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
I mean, they know more about all this than we do. That's how I
Again.
look at it. You know, it's not to make light of anybody's issue here.
I
You gotta stay
definitely,
with it.
I definitely trust Jeff
That's,
looking at
you
that
know,
plan. I
yeah.
mean, that's what he does, is build roads.
I mean, that's- yeah.
He's looking at the grades, he's saying that, as much as this guy does, he's above it, it's a couple feet, and it's been there. Again, we're not approving these lots, we're not approving this driveway,
Well,
we're
they can also
saying
put
that.
restrictions and make changes as they see fit.
My point, I do believe the planning board and the stormwater committee, with the engineers are
And
better.
conservation. It's gotta go to conservation.
Correct, that's stormwater, yeah.
Yeah.
I would remind you to ask Mr. Davignon if he wants to go forward with the 4.
So what
Yeah, he did say he wanted to go forward.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with the vote.
Okay.
buffer thing is, what was that you were saying?
Just because she had concerns about the driveway being close to her property line,
Yeah.
I was asking what the buffer is, but the driveway itself, Mr. Davignon says needs to be at least 8 foot. So between that 8 foot and a little bit on her side, there's plenty of, I believe there's plenty of room for
Keep an eye on
arborvitae's and stuff
on
like
your
that.
mailbox too, so when you get those next abutter,
Yeah.
letters, you'll be able to participate.
Okay, thank you.
And then spot, they can move, like it doesn't have to be in the center of the easement. It can be to one side more. Or does it have to be right in the center when they do that? The roadway, you know what I mean?
Well, they have to kind of do it where they're planning because it's a common driveway and they're given the access to all three. So no, like the person building the driveway can't decide, or the person who owns this lot can't decide that they want to move things and do that, because it is common, because all three of them are going to end up with a deeded right to use that property
Right, and maintain it.
and maintain it, correct?
Yeah, but I would imagine if they have to do certain things, they're all gonna be in it together. to do
Absolutely, they have to.
They've gotta do
Pay for it
whatever.
together.
the- Right.
Well, we've been able to move like the roads in the easement a little bit, you know what I mean? You can favor one side or the other, that's all.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm saying, as long as that, she's guaranteed that 8-foot buffer,
Right.
and I'm sure she's, again, she's on a retreat lot at all, so her house is 75 feet away, his is gonna be 75 feet away. The road's kind of right down the middle of it, so I think there's plenty of room for arborvitae's and that sort of thing to keep the privacy. And again, that's not an issue that we're voting on.
Right.
We're only saying that we don't mind the radius of these two corners and that the slope going by the street, we're okay with it enough to allow the planning board to take their vote on it, so.
All right.
Is there a motion to any of that? Do you guys like the idea of the 25 foot
Yep.
of asphalt? I mean,
I'll make a
Yes.
motion to accept it as long as it's got the 25 feet asphalt.
and, again, that meets all the approvals of the planning board and other boards moving forward. This board is okay with the difference in the grade and the 80-foot center line variance.
All right,
There
Jeff, you
is a
second?
motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a second? All in favor?
All right.
So moved.
Thank you for your time.
If you could get your signatures over here.
Yeah, Dave.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, in the easement.
20 feet instead of 8 would be nice,
They just-
15 or even,
They just
just
have
double
to-
it.
Yeah.
They have to keep on it. That's why it's slow.
Yeah, because I pushed when I pushed a little bit to accommodate some trees.
And I don't think, I gotta shut my mouth, but I don't
Probably
think
next week.
that the barbecue was too crazy. It's still going down to the
Yeah.
rail.
And you'll get notified from them.
Let's see, you're still around, Bill.
All right, you ready to move along here? We
Sorry,
gotta,
We
oh yeah.
We
sorry,
closed
already-
that, and we voted on that, so we're good with our
Yeah, we already did the minutes, so, okay.
meeting. I believe that we just got to approve the time. For you, you have something?
No, you no longer have to. Kevin Gaspar's gonna be doing it for you.
Okay,
Okay.
Yeah.
so
And,
seeing no other new business before us, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
I'll second it. Yeah.
8:04.
We are adjourned.